to introduce you.
I mean, I am totally down for letting the guests introduce themselves, and that starts the episode. But just so we have, let's not be crazy. Welcome everyone listening. We have a guest. Guest, would you like to let the people know who you are?
Hi, my name is Michael Sigillito. I am an actor currently living in the New York City area. I am friends with Daniel and Marcus via university studies. Yes, it's pretty great.
Yeah, and you've got a dog, right?
I do have a dog. She's lying in the hallway next to my little recording alcove.
What's her name? I didn't know you had a dog.
Her name is Ibsy, Ibsy, kind of like the makeup brand, but that's IPSY. She is probably a husky. That's what they said on the paperwork when I got her, and
Cute.
she looks like it. So I'm gonna go with yes.
I wish I had a big dog like a husky. My aunt's dog is so small. It's a bummer.
No, she punches me in the mouth sometimes, and so I would not say that is something that you want.
Well, I don't want
Unless you're into that.
We're not gonna do a. Part of me is like, we're not gonna do this, but we are. But not to like totally one up you. But the dog my aunt has literally will bark at me if I use the bathroom in the middle of the night, and it's like, leave me alone. I'd rather get punched in the face. I guess I am more into that than
Then what?
more into being punched in the face than being barked at. I think that'd be fun.
Danny, how does it feel to be digging the hole deeper and deeper?
It doesn't feel like I'm digging a hole deeper and deeper. I feel like I'm just being honest with everyone right now, and it's good to be honest with people.
I'm proud of you.
Do you have more like facts about yourself, Michael?
When I was just a lad, in my hometown of good old St. Louis, I learned how to juggle from a priest who was in the circus before he became a priest. And his name was Father Augustine. He currently surfs. I think he's at Huntington Beach right now. His life is way cooler than mine. I just came back from a trip from Canada. That was pretty cool. I am very much into the arts of stage combat, and I have been recently researching how to get into intimacy, direction, and coordination, which is focusing more on like the quote-unquote spicy scenes in plays or TV shows. So, for example, like on Game of Thrones, whenever there's some like smooching happening, that's that line of work.
Respectable.
So yeah, because consent is cool.
Yeah, definitely. So I wanted to ask
the Sean Penn. Sorry.
Why did you? We were so good at not talking about the current thing that's going on right now as we're recording, and I was like, all right.
Like we can talk about it, but there's not much more to be said.
No, there isn't.
I don't want to talk about it.
I'm with you, Michael, 100%.
Yeah, of course.
Like, we're all with you here.
It's nonsense that anyone is like arguing about it. I did want to mention something that I think is, I was interested when Danny brought me this little piece of news, and I thought this is great St. Louis news for Michael, if you know the place.
The Moolah Theater.
Yeah, do you know what we're talking? So for the listeners, we have Michael's reading our show notes, but the Moolah Theater and Lounge, at the time of this recording, has announced that it will be closing permanently. The Moolah Theater and Lounge, what? Are you telling me I'm wrong?
I mean, it wasn't just announced. This happened, okay. Mark has more to talk about here. Don't get me wrong, because Mark is the one who went to this theater way more than I did. But I'm the person who figured out it was closed because I had a friend visit me this weekend who's really into like art house movie theaters. And we went to see, back in college, Sorry to Bother You at the Moolah. And I was like, it was such a great theater because it's like you sit on couches and it's basically like an IMAX-sized screen. And you get to like watch a movie and drink. And it's so cool. And so I Googled to see if it was still open in case my friend ever went to St. Louis. And then it said it was permanently closed. And it's been permanently closed for about 2 years now. It closed like at the beginning of the pandemic and never reopened.
Oh, Lamau?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now wait,
just closed.
St. Louis attractions have a knack for quote unquote closing forever and then coming back, a la the Loop Trolley. So for anyone who doesn't know, i.e., literally 99.9% of the population of the planet Earth and then some, there is a trolley in an area of St. Louis near Forest Park, so like the art museum, the zoo, stuff like that, called the Loop. And for a time, there was a trolley that just ran up and down the loop, and that's it. And you had to pay to use it. And it was pretty much slower than you walking, and it was not air conditioned. So all of these things combined formed the Captain Planet of why does this still exist? So they shut it down. And then they brought it back just in time for the Panera Bread Company, the Panorama, the pandemic, whatever you want to call it. And then they recently announced it's going to be open, I think, from September to October as like a trial run.
Well,
And it's going to be
they've been
free
trying
during
that
that
for a
time.
few years.
Yeah.
This actually, I am more aware of this than I am of the Moolah Theater closing. Like the Loop has been kind of like, the Loop trolley has been kind of coming back on and off for, I mean, pretty much since we were in college together.
Since we were born.
Yeah. But the thing about the Moolah Theater that was, so this, in St. Louis, it's not like New York where there's like 3 of everything, it seems, but like Forest Park is kind of the woodsy center of everything artsy in St. Louis. And
It's Central Park of St. Louis,
yeah,
truly, because
yeah.
it's right by the museum. There's the Muni right there. It's like, oh, this is a good parallel.
Yeah, but I wondered, Michael, had you ever been, the Moolah Theater is a couple, or it was a couple blocks east of Forest Park. Had you ever been over there?
I had been there one singular time.
Yeah, it's not like, do you know the Chase Park cinemas?
Probably.
Okay, so this might be my news and no one else's news, but
Ooh.
Forest Park is a rectangle, and it's a large rectangle, but then you have Chase Park Plaza Cinemas, which is a movie theater inside of a hotel room on the upper east corner, and then you had the High Point Theater, which is a little smaller and more artsy. I think the High Point is another single screen movie theater on the southwest corner of Forest Park. And I remember going to these different movie theaters kind of back and forth when I was younger. You been to the Landmark cinemas? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Tivoli's still closed.
Yeah, so and then it's interesting. The Tivoli is actually the northwest corner of Forest Park, because that's University City. So it's bordered by these three cinemas, and then the Moolah Theater, it was a few blocks from the Chase Park Theater in the hotel, which was kind of in the uppity part of the neighborhood, and then the Moolah Theater was this really nice refurbished building, but it was kind of out of the way, and it was still near a university, but it was a little harder to get to, and it wasn't part of this, like, there was like the college town in the northwest where the Tivoli was, and that's where like you can go to Fitz's Root Beer, and that's where
the taco place there.
Yeah.
And a karaoke
Which
bar.
one? Which one?
Well, let's see if I can find it, because I actually have it open on Maps, because I wanted to make a joke about I was thinking Mission Taco. I guess that's not that great.
Oh, yeah.
Is that good?
That really local, not a chain at all.
Look, I'm just saying that's where I went. Leave me alone. That's not by
Never.
where I live.
Is any of this ringing a bell for you, Michael?
Mark, I'm going to be completely honest. Do I look like someone who would go to the artsy films, or do I look like some guy who's going to go to the Wierenberg Theater and watch Spider-Man 2 starring Tobey Maguire?
I mean, but Spider-Man 2 would probably play at these theaters now, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, now.
Yeah, I know.
Now.
I did see
Yeah,
Ghost of
because
the Shell
those are
at Tivoli.
cinematic masterpieces a la The Room and Movie 43. However...
What? Are you going after my Sam Raimi movie? You go...
my whole plan tonight was to make Mark make one of like the trademark noises that he does when he gets frustrated, and I really hope you got it, because my God, it was so good.
It's just so hard for me to bring relatable content onto this podcast.
I can bring something really about St. Louis.
What is it?
And I very explicitly, the reason I looked on the map is because I was like, what is the name of that street that has the really stupid name by the Tivoli?
I will fight you on this. I will personally find you in New York tomorrow.
What road do you think I'm going to say is a dumb name?
I can think of 87, but if you insult my city, I will personally...
You can insult Chicago as much as you want. I don't care. I insult Chicago all the time.
because Chicago has bad baseball teams.
Okay, whatever. I don't care. I don't pay attention to baseball, so it's irrelevant to me.
Fairly accepted.
Yeah, that's the point. What are you going to say, Danny?
I'm just saying the name Skinker Boulevard is so funny to me. Skinker.
Yeah.
Let's hear your replacement, Danny.
See,
Oh, no.
Little
See,
tip for all you New York listeners at home.
Lime Ferry, Doughty Ferry, or Spady with an O and no A.
Well,
Those
all
aren't
I
really
was going to say was Skinker. I remember me and Julius once had a pitch for like a short film we wanted to do where there was like a murder on Skinker Street and like no one understood what Skinker Street was.
I remember
It's
that.
just Skinker Street. There's
See,
been a murder on Skinker Street.
I just
And the
want to say,
murderer
for all of
was
our
a
New York
skink.
listeners, if you go to that theater, the Skinker Street is where you park your car to avoid congestion and paying for things. So that's why I know about it. So you go down the loop, which is the main street where everything is, and then you have to, it's like by the Tivoli, but then you go down that side street, that's Skinker, and you can just park there. So I just want to throw that out there.
Mark, did you know that there's a massive parking lot right by Fitz's Root Beer?
Why on
That's
earth
free.
would you use the parking lot by Fitz's Root Beer?
I mean, I'm gonna be
That's the
honest.
whole
I
point,
didn't park
is
on
like,
Skinker Street when I went to the.
Like, that's the whole point, is you want to avoid the parking
What's
lot.
the name of that bar that's by
But
the
here's
Tivoli?
the thing: if you know
Blueberry
when
Hill.
to leave, Blueberry Hill's a banger. We love that place.
Yeah, I went
If
there
you know
last
when
summer.
to
Nice.
I
leave,
disagree.
Marcus,
Mhm.
i.e., just wait, have a good time in the loop. You have so many things to do.
Pretty sure I parked on Westgate, just on the street, looking at this
For
map.
anyone who doesn't know, the Loop is kind of like, I don't know if I know New York well enough to really compare it to anything, but it's sort of the collegey town part of
So
St.
probably
Louis.
like East or West Village. Well, not so much
Um,
not so much West Village.
I don't know.
East Village is pretty young, like Doc Hollidays, like that
yeah,
area.
East Village is a good
Tompkins
analog,
Square Park,
but that's the part that's over by Washington University.
NYU.
No.
Are you talking about St. Louis?
I'm talking about St. Louis. Yeah,
I was
I'm trying
like,
to think of I'm
my
trying to think of how
brother
to
in
explain
Christ.
the Loop to people.
Oh, okay. Yeah, think of it like go on a map, look at St. Louis. You'll see a big green rectangle. That's Forest Park. Go like 3 blocks away from that, you got the Loop, and it's right by Washington University, or Wash U, if you know what you're talking about. It's pretty poppin', I would say.
It can be poppin'. I think that you really, the thing about St. Louis that I like is that it's empty. So,
I mean, relatively, yeah.
well,
That's like-
relatively, but I mean, compared to New York, everywhere is empty. That's just what I like, is that like you
Gonna say,
can't.
if you want empty, my brother, Alaska is a very open state.
It's true. He's right.
Yeah, but I mean,
He's
like
got
you go to
you.
Central Park, you're not just any park. You're really not gonna
Central
find
Park is
like,
in a state.
If you live in Alaska,
it's not an
everywhere
open.
is
It's not. I don't know who I said this to,
And
but there's a
some
big
people
difference
deliver
in
your
New
paper
York
every day.
between public space and free space.
It wasn't me. I was too
Every
busy
week
being
is
a-
public space if you try hard enough, Mark.
It's true. That's how I got panhandled.
Oh yeah,
Wait, did you,
yeah. Do you
did
want
you
to
give
complain
love
about
to New
giving
York
money
already?
to the less fortunate, Danny?
So I think we should, first off, before I
Oh
answer
yeah,
that
big
question.
surprise to the listeners. Really, this might be the worst audio quality of any of our recordings, but there's a good reason for it.
Because Mark and I are sitting right next to each other.
Yay!
Yay!
So we'll figure that out in about a week.
Have fun with that.
Anyway, no, I get panhandled. That thing happened.
I mean, you got asked for some money, and then you were a little bit
Generous.
with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No regrets.
How much did you give him? Answer the question, please. Speak loudly and clearly into the microphone, please.
$60.
You gave someone $60? Danny, you should
It's
just
really-
put a sign around your neck that
it's-
says, I'm not from
It's
here.
really
Just ask me for
funny,
money."
though. No, okay, it's really funny looking at this entire situation I got myself in, that I let myself do this, because I never give out money in Chicago. But yeah, as soon as I hear some guy's like, hey, can I have $60? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not?
That's kind of, I mean,
My parents are the people who used to always be like, I wish they still had McDonald's gift certificates so I could hand out McDonald's gift certificates. That's my mom and dad, though.
Michael,
I'm learning so much.
Michael, would you like to be entertained?
What does that
Would you
sound
like to have? Would you like to
You
have?
like doing strip
What am
tease for him?
Would you like to
what
have
am I
fun,
being
Michael?
propositioned for here?
Would you like-
I need more context.
Would you like to have some fun, Michael?
Are we about to play a game?
Yes.
Danny's gonna give you a game.
All right.
Jesus
So,
Christ.
my game is called the Letterboxd game. Letterboxd is a social media site where I review my movies, and somewhat recently they've added this feature that tells you what algorithmically is the most related film to the movie that you just watched.
Oh no. Okay.
So the Letterboxd game is I have a movie in front of me. I will
Okay.
give you the 5 most related films to it. You have
Okay.
to guess what the movie is. I remove any
Okay.
Yeah. I remove any film in the same franchise, and I remove any film by the same director. After 2 guesses, you will get the year the movie came out. I don't know if that'll be helpful or not. But then after that, you get 2 more guesses. Each additional guess will give you another movie. So you can get up to 7 related movies by the end of it. Now, normally we do a movie I've seen in the last month. For you,
Okay.
I have themed these movies along plans for my current New York trip.
Oh,
Okay.
Christ. Okay.
These are all movies that I would be shocked you haven't seen. They're all very popular movies. Okay, they're mostly popular movies, but I know you've heard of the one that might not be popular. I'll put it that way.
The Phantom of the Opera. Final answer for all of them.
So you ready for your first round?
I might be. Let's hear them.
All right.
And I will not be playing because Danny's sitting right next to me with his movies open.
All right. So
Oh.
and
Yeah, no
I'll,
cheating.
after each one of these, I gotta explain to listeners why I'm giving you it, just so you know.
Okay.
So-
All right.
So your first 5 films for your first round are, and there's 3 rounds. There's 3 rounds.
Okay. Oh Jesus.
So
Okay.
your first round: Super 8, Mac and Me, Starman, The Iron Giant, and Signs.
Am I allowed to hear the movies again?
Yeah, sure. I'll go read them for you.
Okay.
Super 8,
Okay.
Mac and Me,
Okay.
Starman,
Okay.
The Iron Giant,
All right.
and Signs.
Okay. There's no Stranger Things movie yet. Oh my God, Danny! What the hell are you doing in New York?
This is a classic movie. This is one of the classic ones I've seen. Okay?
Classic movie.
Yeah.
All right. I'm focusing more on Super 8 and The Iron Giant because those are the ones I know the best. All right. I'm gonna err on the side of. Oh, I'm gonna err on the side of animation, and going with Iron Giant. I'm going to go with another unsung animated movie classic. I'm gonna go with Treasure Planet.
No, it is not Treasure Planet, and this is something I tell you is I have the top 25 most related films also open, and Treasure Planet is not in the top 25 related films.
Okay. All right.
So you
That's
get
an
another
extra
guess.
hint for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, before I get the year the movie came out, if that helps. All right, let's see what tastes like M. Night Shyamalan. That's an animated movie. Oh, that's such an eclectic group. I want. Oh,
If
No,
if
man,
it helps
it's-
you, and I'm not saying one way or the other, but only one of these movies I gave you is animated.
no, I know. That's
Okay.
why I'm like I'm
I didn't
latching
know.
on.
I didn't know if you knew Starman because I feel like Starman's kind of a niche film.
Yeah.
No, I don't really know Starman, Mac and Me, or
You don't know Mac and Me?
no.
That's the thing that Paul Rudd plays when he goes on Conan.
Yeah, it's pretty funny always.
You think I watch? Do I look like someone who watches Conan? I watch a bald guy play chess on YouTube for fun.
Drop his channel.
It's Northern Lion. If you're a chess fan, 1, play me in chess. 2, watch him. Back to the movie trivia game that I'm really bad at.
Yeah.
Let's go with Avatar, but the blue people Avatar.
That is a fair guess. Pretty good guess, I'd say. It's not in the top 25, and it's not the answer. So now you're going to get the year.
Okay. It
The-
will not help, but let's hear it.
The year is 1982.
1982?
Yeah.
Oh my god, wait.
What?
No one's allowed to bully me if this is wrong. Is it
Okay.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
No, that's not. I'm not going to bully you for that, but that's wrong, and it's not in the top 25.
Oh, okay. I thought it would have been that because we were talking about it before the show,
Nah.
before we started recording.
No,
Okay.
I was very careful to avoid discussion of any of these three.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
But your sixth film will be Lilo and Stitch.
Another. Oh, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear. Bleep me out if I'm not. Oh, another animated film. 1982.
Can I give him a kind of hint?
Yes.
Wait, no. You
Okay.
gotta go
Okay,
all
okay,
the way.
okay.
You gotta
Oh,
go all the way
and then
through.
one final hint.
Fair, and then if Mark wants to give you one extra hint, that's allowed. But he's gotta wait until we go through the actual course of the game.
I think you'll play this round and then you'll get it.
Okay.
But just that.
All right.
Never mind.
Let me go with. 1982. You're asking me things I wasn't even born yet, man.
I would be extremely shocked if you haven't seen this movie.
I wouldn't, but we'll find out. Is it the Goonies?
No.
Good guess.
Yeah, that's probably your closest guess, even though it's not in the top 25 either.
What the?
I know, that's
what the
weird.
heck?
I'm actually surprised the Goonies is not in the top 25 here. So your final film, and then after I give it to you, I have to recap for the listeners at home if they're playing along, okay?
Sure.
So your final film, which I don't think is going to help you because I don't really know this movie, is Flight of the Navigator.
Flight of the Navigator?
I don't know what this is.
Is that not just an action by a person?
I guess it's a movie from, looks like 1986. But anyway, your films, this is a film from 1982.
Yeah, it's a recap.
It's a film from 1982. Your 7 films are Super 8, Mac and Me, Starman, The Iron Giant, Signs, Lilo and Stitch, and Flight of the Navigator.
The last one didn't help.
I know, it really does not help.
Because now I'm trying to go with like... Oh, no. Now it's kind of tasting like a coming-of-age film, kind of family-friendly, kind of dark. I don't know when this movie came out, but I feel like this is as good a guess as any. Is it Stand By Me?
Oof. No, it's not Stand By Me. That is also a good guess. That is also not in the top 25. So, Mark, what is
This algorithm is trash. Give me your hint, Mark.
No. The algorithm's not trash. The thing is, and you'll get this as soon as you get what the answer is, but you got to think about these things more structurally and in terms of their genre. There's usually there's some kind of dynamic in the movie. And that's really how I found Letterboxd makes these algorithms.
Oh my God, there's aliens. They all have aliens. I swear.
I mean, maybe Flight of the Navigator does. We don't know.
Yeah, who knows what's in Flight of the Navigator?
Listen, with the name, we got Lilo and Stitch. We got the Iron Giant, which is maybe a Russian robot, maybe an alien. I can't remember. It's been a while. But like Starman, I assume has aliens. Signs, definitely. It's War of the Worlds.
What? Is that your guess?
Yeah, that's my guess. I'm going with War of the Worlds because aliens.
War of the Worlds is a very good guess.
Oh no.
It is actually the next film I could have potentially given you.
Oh my God.
Could have. But now I will give you myself one lesson, which I give in this case, is that I had to remove 2 films from the same director, not from the same franchise, before we got to this point. So think of a director who's done movies that are like the ones that are like this and has... Just try to... We'll see if you can... We'll see. We'll see what you get. And if you can't get it, then I'll just tell you.
I don't want to stand here for 5 minutes racking the brain of the guy who knows.
Again, this is a classic movie
named.
that I'd be shocked that you haven't seen. I'd be shocked if you don't know the director's name.
I know 2 directors' names off the top of my head. One is
them.
J.J. Abrams, and one is Zack Snyder.
Okay, well, never mind.
We're kind of surprised by that, but okay.
Well, I'm not a
sense.
movie buff. I'm not a movie buff. That's the fun part.
I feel like
No. You give it. You get
Well,
because you were right, being like, what do these movies have in common in terms of like characters they have?
sure.
Right.
I'd say two of the movies here, three of the movies here could be listed as remakes of this film. Like, very casual. Maybe four was, I think all the...
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Super 8...
reskinnings of this film.
Yeah, I'd say Super 8, Macamee, Starman, and Iron Giant are all...
I swear to God, if it's the original Superman movie, I'm going to be pissed.
Do you want to guess that?
Yes.
All right, you're wrong. It's not on the top. But you're going to feel... Well, first off...
Well, you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn.
Yeah. First off... Well, first I got to ask you a question. Have you heard of the director known as Steven Spielberg? Do you know that name?
Fuck that guy. Is it? Yeah. I didn't think of him because I didn't know where we were going.
I had to remove Close Encounters of the Third Kind and AI, and the film this is E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
I was gonna guess E.T.
Yeah.
Give him the next one.
Wait, I have to explain why we did E.T. There's a reason for all these, okay? This is how I'm telling the listeners what I'm doing on my trip.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
That's right.
So E.T. is actually something I'm not doing on my trip, but it was part of my plans because New York has the biggest IMAX screen in the US, and currently there is an E.T. IMAX re-release. Unfortunately, the movie nerd, happens to visit New York during the first week of its renovation. So it will not be open for another 3 or 4 weeks.
Oh,
it will not be here when I'm
here.
here.
Oh, see, I heard about the E.T. re-release, but I didn't know that you were like big IMAX guy, like big movie.
Oh, 100%. I was so
IMAX guy.
I was so jealous of this guy seeing Nope in IMAX.
Yeah.
So jealous.
Nope. By the way, Nope, fantastic film.
No, we all agree. Nope is great. I could see Nope
all right, now,
being on this.
Now I think I get the premise a little bit
feel
better.
the vibe.
That was a practice run. It doesn't count.
Okay, but I'm not giving you an extra run. I
That's
only
okay.
have 4 lined up.
And Danny is
That's okay.
really
All right.
he's in like the...
All right, are you ready? You ready for the next one?
Yes.
All right, let me make sure I can... It's going to be really funny one of these I say. Okay. All right. Your 5 films are Sweeney Todd, The Demon Barber of Fleet Street, Moulin Rouge, Cats. That's the one I'm laughing at giving you. The Greatest Showman, and The Beauty and the Beast live-action remake.
Okay. So I'm sensing a theme here. Movie musicals. I would like to... Okay, I know it's not going to be the new West Side Story because we talked about it. And you said you were avoiding talking about these films. So I'm using context clues. They're all live action as well. All right. Okay.
Cats is kind of in that weird gray area where no one knows.
I'm gonna go with Les Mis.
What?
Les Mis, final answer.
Les Mis, not the right answer, but you know what? You were very lucky with that, because this means you're going to get an extra movie, because that would have been the next movie I give you, which means now you might get... You'll get an
a
extra
more
movie.
helpful hint.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah,
right.
Les Mis would have been the movie I give you on your fourth guess.
Another live-action movie musical. Got it. I would like to guess the remake of Cinderella.
Yes, that is on there.
It's on the list?
Yeah, on the list, but that's not the
All
film.
Right. These are very good guesses.
Yeah.
I'm throwing darts near the bullseye.
Wait. Now I gotta give you the year, though. Okay?
Yeah.
The year is 2014.
See, if I watched movies regularly, I would know, because I know it's a live action movie musical. I just don't know when movies come out.
Think back to where you were in your life in 2014.
Learning to drive and just wanting a girl to like me at my all boys private Catholic high school in St. Louis. Live action movie musical, 2014, sophomore year, learning to drive.
You said learning to drive. I just immediately thought of that play, How I Learned to Drive.
I learned to drive.
Like,
that, like, really, really atrocious. Not as in like it's a bad play, but like, oh my god, that happened.
Yeah, that play. Yeah.
Yeah, great play. You should read it. But trigger warning for sure.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I thought you were talking to me. I'm like, I have. I was like, oh wait, no, you're talking.
No.
to
That was like a general statement to the world.
Yes.
As we get sidetracked, I'm going to go with. I'm just racking my brain. Like lot. It's not gonna be that. That was way too recent. Shoot, dude. I know this isn't the right answer, but I'm saying this so I can get another movie. I would like you to hit me with Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, starring Donny Osmond.
Not in the top 25. So, but you do get
Kind
another
of
hint,
shocking, actually.
which the next hint is Mamma Mia.
Oh, that would have been a good guess too. Oh my God! And the thing is, I'm getting it now. I get the concept. Oh, but they made too many. They made too many movie musicals. Oh wait, let me guess. Phantom of the Opera, because I don't know when that came out.
Phantom of the Opera is in the top 25, but it's not the film. So now I will give you your last film.
Which is no longer Les Mis.
Yeah, well, actually, Les Mis was going to be before Mamma Mia. Mamma Mia was going to be your last movie. Yeah.
Okay.
But you're
okay,
good.
okay.
And this last one might help you out a bit. But let me again remind you when I'm done. I got to recap for the listeners at home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay? So, your last film is Frozen.
Oh, that's not going to help.
Oh, well, whatever. Sorry. But it's a film from 2014. And your 7 films were Sweeney Todd, Moulin Rouge, Cats, The Greatest Showman, The Beauty and the Beast live-action remake. Then Les Mis you got as an extra one because you guessed it. And then Mamma Mia and Frozen. So really 8 films.
Okay. So the animated one is the least like it, but there's still that element of, it's like broken families coming back together. I'm going to be so mad when you tell me because I'm not going to get
I have one more hint lined up that might help you out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
But-
throw you a guess, and then I will beg for that hint, because that might be the saving grace. If I had to hazard a guess, no, Moana was 2016. I would like to throw the hat in the ring of Brave.
Brave is not the film. It's not the top 25. Now, my hint I have for you is of your guesses that were in the top 25, which, if I remember right, were the Cinderella remake, Les Mis, Phantom of the Opera, and was there another one, Mark, do you think? Or was it just those 3?
I think only one of those is important.
Well, that's not... was it those 3 guesses?
Yeah.
Okay. Those are the only ones in the top 25. One of those were removed from the original 5 for you for a reason. One of those 3 guesses were removed.
And it was Les Mis, the Cinderella remake, and what was the last one?
Phantom of the Opera. One of those 3 were
Phantom.
removed
Okay.
from the top 5 original to give you for a reason related to this film.
Okay. So unless...
And it's
Unless
okay.
it
I'm
was-
gonna tell you this right now. Also, I know you don't know directors, so don't think about directors. Like,
Okay.
this would not. I
Yeah.
wouldn't give you this hint
No.
if it had to do with the directors.
Yeah. It's not the directors. It was removed probably because it's in the same universe. It's Mamma Mia, Cinderella, live action.
Mamma Mia was not one of your guesses. Your guesses were the
Oh
Cinderella.
yeah, it was Les Mis, Mamma Mia, and
No.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Or not Mamma Mia. I keep saying Mamma
Yeah.
Mia. I mean
It was
Cinderella.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it Mamma Mia 2? Here we go again. Even though that came out in 2020.
Is that actually your guess?
No. No.
I'll tell you right now. I'm not saying if it is or isn't, but Mamma Mia 2 is definitely not a 2020 movie because I watched that in college in the summer when you guys did Mamma Mia at school. I remember.
shit.
Yeah. So that definitely isn't 2020.
But then it wouldn't. But you wouldn't have told me Mamma Mia if it was Mamma Mia 2, because you would have.
You're
taken
correct.
that
I would
one
have
out.
removed it. So
Yeah, you would have taken that one out instead. Oh, this is gonna make me so mad when you tell me. I can already tell. Let me go with, even though I don't think they made a movie of this, Love Never Dies, the sequel to Phantom of the Opera.
I mean, there's a pro shot of it. This is not Love Never Dies. I watched the pro shot. It
is what it is.
Yeah, it definitely exists. Do you want me to be nice and give you one more guess with a reminder that you're trying to get? No, you don't. Well, okay,
No.
then I'll lead into this by saying
I don't want to torture these people any longer.
remember though, I will still say what it is. Remember,
Yeah.
this was trying to guess activities I'm doing while I'm in New York too that are related to these films. And,
I know, but I can't.
well, can you think of a movie musical from.
No, well, it's not. Yeah, I can think of like movie musicals. I'm thinking of like the things on Broadway, and I couldn't, because they can't be Beetlejuice,
Well,
my guy.
then I'll just tell you. So
Yeah,
the movie
swear
I
to
had
God.
to remove was Cinderella, because Cinderella is a featured character in Into the Woods.
I fucking hate you. Fuck you.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where it's like,
See,
I mean,
and
okay.
but wait, that's why it tripped me up, because there is a pro shot of the OBC Into the Woods, and so I was like, oh, it's from 2014.
Yeah, but that's when the Meryl Streep movie came out. But yeah, just for the listeners, yeah, Into the Woods is the only show I've pre-bought a ticket for, because everything else I want to get, well, I'll do like cheap, like
the Student Rush or whatever.
Yeah, I'll do that stuff. But for Into the Woods, I wanted to make sure I had a seat, so I pre-bought my Into the Woods ticket.
I mean, it is a star-studded, absolute powerhouse of a cast.
Exactly. That's like, I had this week off from work anyway, so I was like, ooh, seeing the Into the Woods would be really cool, and then I can do a bunch of horror shows too when I'm there.
And people
So
are
you bought
raving
8
about
tickets?
it. That's the part that
well,
surprises
look at
me
the
so
cast,
much.
my guy.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it.
If
All right.
I do not marry Sara Bareilles, I'm gonna cry. Go on.
You ready for the last one?
I wouldn't say ready, but go for it.
All right. Your films are
Okay.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs,
Okay.
Enchanted,
Okay.
Tangled,
Okay.
Beauty and the Beast,
Okay.
Frozen,
That's fine.
Oh, you're right.
But
You're right.
also
You're
not
right.
the
You're
Little
right. You're
Mermaid.
right.
Thanks for
No,
that.
no. What do you know what I was gonna say? I was gonna say maybe the little match girl.
A little engine that could.
Yeah, that could be on here. You don't know.
Nah, no, it's animated Disney movies. So
I mean, you're not gonna get an extra hint, so it doesn't even matter if you take that.
no, I
or
know.
not.
Yeah, well, like I was gonna get it anyway. There's no chance I get it anytime soon. But so things you're doing in New York, Disney movies.
I don't know if the New York thing will help you much anymore. The only thing I think that would have helped you if was Into the Woods.
Well then, why would you say that at the beginning? You're stumbling.
Because I
me up,
wanted to help
man.
you with Into the Woods.
They're thematically connected. This is the conceit of this week's Letterboxd game.
Oh God! If I don't get this, then I'm
You're gonna be
giving
our
up.
first full.
I mean, I have gone whole episodes without getting any. I think this one is honestly the hardest one. So
Yeah. What
no
up?
shame.
It's all shame. I'll feel so bad. All right. First guess. I'm gonna hit you with Sleeping Beauty.
Oh,
sh-
you got it in one!
Let's
Wow.
Redemption. You built it up so well. You going like.
How did you get that?
Well, see, my process was I guessed, and God had pity on me.
All right.
Wow.
So
The
That's
divine
incredible.
spirits,
that
the
was really
fates
good.
put into my skull say Sleeping Beauty. Something about pricking your finger on a spindle.
Yeah.
What can I say? Talk about a redemption.
Yeah. Sleeping Beauty's on here because the very last thing I'm going to do on my trip is
Go to bed.
Yeah, definitely. That's what we do right before we get on a plane.
Oh,
is go to bed.
I almost made Mark spit all of his water onto his microphone. And as much as I would have
That's a
loved
good
that,
one.
that would have been bad.
The last thing I'm doing on Saturday, right before I fly out, is the Museum of Moving Image, which I've never checked out despite being here twice. I'm going to first obviously look at the museum, and they're doing a screening of a film print of Sleeping Beauty that I am a film nerd, and I've tracked this print for 5 years. It has not been screened in 5 years, so I will go see it, and then I will catch my flight right afterwards. There's an animation historian going to be there too. So that will be the last thing I do on my trip, is see Sleeping Beauty on 70mm.
Oh,
That's
wow.
really cool. And I just would like to point out that, Mark, you are no longer the only person bringing unrelatable content to this podcast. Because if you would have told me that there is a 70mm moving print of Sleeping Beauty, I would have said, did you just cast a curse on me? None of those words were English.
Well, I'll have you know that we definitely had talked about film prints and millimeters stuff on this podcast.
Yeah, I don't know if
before.
I think that episode is like the next episode that's going to come out. So, I mean, and you
Spoilers.
don't have to have listened to the show, but it's really cool. It's very large.
What?
Excuse me.
I don't know.
It was like, yeah, it's cool. It's large.
Let me see. I was going to look this up. Like,
I would believe a 70mm print is 70 millimeters long. That would make sense.
Wait, are you telling me that a 70mm print is 70 millimeters? Danny, next you're going to be telling me that a 2-liter bottle?
Mark is literally Googling it right now.
Yeah.
Danny.
Don't Danny, me. Go after Mark here. He's the one who's
Danny,
like, whoa, what is this?
The next thing you're going to tell me is that a 2-liter bottle holds 2 liters of fluid.
well, actually, okay.
I
Hold
don't think-
on,
I swear to
guys.
God, Mark, if you tell me
I
it
don't
holds
think-
1.99, I'm going to...
No. I'm telling us the real reason I was curious is because they measure juggling ball sizes in millimeters. So I wondered if that could like make it tactile. If we could say like, oh, a 70mm film is like the size of a tennis ball.
All right, let's go on to
or
the game of
something like
lists.
that.
Let's just go.
Which would be like, that's a large thing of film.
Let's go to the game of lists. This is really boring. The film geek, is
Mom,
like, this
Dad,
part about the
please stop
millimeters is
fighting.
boring. Let's go.
I can't even. Okay, here is the game of lists.
I have to look in this direction so I don't look over his shoulder by accident.
It's basically I find a list of movies online, and then I ask Danny and or our guests about that list. So today, as the listeners I'm sure are aware because they've seen the title of the episode, we're talking about The Prince of Egypt today. Prince of Egypt was DreamWorks' first 2D animated feature film. DreamWorks...
Not ants.
That's not ants. DreamWorks released 4 films that were traditionally animated in this style. For both of you, name all 4 films in the order that they were released.
Oh, I can't do it in the order that they were released.
No, you can't. I mean, every that is
No,
one thing
yeah.
that I do keep consistent. Is
It's like...
it sounds
Well, I'm trying to see if I
difficult,
can
but it's
remember
actually
the-
easier than you think.
What is the fourth one, though? I'm just trying to think of what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing is, Michael, maybe you know them all, but I want to, the hard
I
part is
want
going
it
to
to
be...
be in order.
Well, but I got to remember the fourth movie before I can put it in order. The ones
I
I
also
remember...
can't remember the 4th movie.
I
I have 3 of them.
Well, you
I
guys
have the
can
obscure
talk
one.
it out.
Oh,
Well-
wait. Okay. Then wait.
The 3 I remember are obviously Prince of Egypt.
Yeah, The Road to El Dorado.
Yeah, and Sinbad is the one I remember.
Oh, bro, I got the other one. It's
What's-
Joseph, King of Dreams.
Oh, does that one count? I didn't realize that one count because I thought it was direct to video.
Nope, that one's direct to video. It doesn't count.
Oh, theatrical release. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Let me
Let's
say
see.
that it's got to be theatrical release too.
Okay.
So we got 3 of them. We got to think what
Okay.
the 4th one is. Because Shrek was coming out.
And that's also 3D animation.
Yeah, well, no. I'm trying to think year-wise. Because I think Sinbad was the last one. We've talked about this on this podcast before. I have like an encyclopedic memory of when movies came out. And I know
So you're just
Sinbad...
going through the Rolodex right now.
Yeah, well, Sinbad's 03. So, and I feel like Sinbad's the last one because Sinbad bombed. We're working for this
Yeah,
together.
and
We're not going to be
because-
competitive
no,
on this because I don't know these movies
No.
as well.
No, El Dorado came out.
Yeah.
El Dorado came out in 01, right?
Okay, so there's either
think-
one in 02 or in between 98 and 01. Probably between 98 and 01. So there's probably one before El Dorado.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume since Mark said that it...
Wait, is it Treasure Planet?
Is it... Can we ask you if this movie is it and have it not count?
No, I feel like it has to be a guess.
That seems like a bit of a bridge too far.
Okay. I
I'm-
can't remember if... Because I didn't watch DreamWorks movies, so I don't remember them. Like the TV ones.
I kind of know. I'm gonna hit you with. I think it is in this order. And Danny, feel free if you don't want to give this.
See,
blessing.
I knew you'd come there. You'd feel confident. You'd get something.
Okay.
No,
Go ahead,
I think I want to go Prince of Egypt, Treasure Planet, El Dorado, Sinbad.
So Treasure Planet is okay.
No,
Treasure
no.
Planet's just not one of them. Treasure Planet is a
Okay.
Disney product.
So can I do a guess then?
Is it?
Sure. Yeah.
So my guess is, because I had one in mind that I don't know if it's DreamWorks
Wait
or
a
not. So I'm going to go Prince of Egypt. There's a movie called Titan AI that opened against Atlantis that I've never seen, but I think it might be Titan AI. No, Titan AE, because it's after Earth. That's what it means. It's like, anyway.
Yeah,
Titan
yeah.
AE, Road El Dorado, Sinbad.
No, Titan AE was actually a Don Bluth film. So I'm just gonna give you what the fourth film is. That is Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron.
Oh, fuck you.
Oh, I feel
Yeah.
so stupid.
All
All
right.
right.
I
And
wasn't
so-
raised as a horse girl, Mark. How do you expect me to know what Spirit?
I
And
think
you
you
know
should
what?
know all of these because these actually, for me, when I looked these up, I was like, wow, these were my movies growing up more than
Yeah, they
a
were
lot
the
of
deep
Pixar
cuts that
movies.
no one really knew, but everyone kind of
Spirit
knew.
messed me up though, because the thing is, even though yes, Spirit isn't the same art style, we were just thinking like human lead, but Spirit is a horse movie.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, yeah, because when you think of DreamWorks, you're thinking of like people-esque, because like ants,
and
All right.
and like Shrek, because it's
I'm
like
Yeah.
it's the unanticipated hero,
I think
and
just
it's like a kind of a person where it is a person.
I don't think I'll get points for this, but I think Spirit is right before Sinbad because I think Spirit came out around the same time as Shrek did.
I
Correct.
would like to agree. I would like to agree and say with Prince of Egypt, El Dorado, Spirit, Sinbad.
Correct. Michael, you had it exactly. And Prince of Egypt was 1998, Dorado was 2000, Spirit was 2002, and Sinbad was 2003. All right.
Wait, is
So-
Shrek
Okay.
01?
Now,
Shrek's 01.
Yeah,
Sorry, anyway.
so now we've got that list of the 4 traditionally animated films that DreamWorks has released. Now, list them in order of budget, from greatest to least or least to greatest.
All right, this one I want to do competing guests on. Is that okay, Michael? Let's do competing guests.
Oh
on this
yeah, sure.
one. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
My
Bonus
guess
points
is
if you can guess like within the nearest million or something. But
my.
Oh,
we have,
absolutely not.
we have to guess the.
Absolutely.
No, I don't
No,
want
you
to guess
don't
the
have to.
number.
I'm just saying that's a bonus point.
No,
None of this matters.
my prediction. My guess is personally, I'm gonna go. Sinbad is the most expensive because it killed it.
I'm also going to say the same thing, so I'm not copying you. It's just
Okay.
like I have my list.
And then Prince of Egypt because it established the studio, so it's gonna cost a lot for some stuff there. After that, I'm gonna go. Let's go. I'm gonna go El Dorado, then Spirit last.
Michael.
Okay. I'm going with Spirit is last because it's a horse movie.
That's true.
Next, I will go with Prince of Egypt. Third, I'm going least to most. I think the opposite of Danny. Spirit, Prince of Egypt. Then I'm going to hit you with El Dorado is third, and I'm going to tell you why. Because they got Elton John writing the music.
That's
And
true.
then top of the list, I'm going with Sinbad because they were like, oh my god, we've made banger after banger. Let's pour all of our money into this film and then go bankrupt.
Especially since it's post Shrek. That one I think is the one that's
Yeah.
really post
They
Shrek.
got-
So they're like,
They got big egos, and frankly, I like Sinbad.
yeah, Sinbad's
but-
pretty good if I remember right. I haven't seen it since I was a kid though.
Yeah, I like.
I rewatched it actually semi-recently, and I was like, I think this is where I got my taste in women because Eris and also the other nice lady in that film, they scare me, but like in a good way.
Yeah, and Eris is actually also voiced by Michelle Pfeiffer. That's why I had her on the brain when we were watching Prince of
That
Egypt.
tracks.
All right.
And also,
You know, actually, now that I think about it, the whole time I was thinking Catherine Zeta-Jones was in this movie, but she's in Sinbad, isn't she? So like,
Well, you
you go.
kept thinking Demi Moore was in this movie, and you were completely wrong. You can't just replace her with another black.
no, I
Alright.
thought someone. Get off my back.
I'm just.
All
all
right,
this
all
to
right.
say, DreamWorks is my taste in women. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, there's a style for these 4 movies, but it's interesting how y'all worked this out. Your brains are in an interesting place for the narrative of my game. So I'm just gonna say right off the bat, Danny, you basically have it backwards. So in order of budget, I'm gonna go from greatest to least.
Okay.
El Dorado had the greatest budget at $95 million.
Because of Elton John.
Spirit had the second greatest at $80 million. The Prince of Egypt had the third greatest at $70 million, and Sinbad had the least amount of money as $60 million.
So Sinbad must have really bombed if it killed it that bad. Sinbad
Well-
must have done terribly.
Well,
They
it's-
probably knew they were like going out, and they were like, might as well try to make a little money.
That's fair.
Maybe.
I honestly, I should have thought Spirit could have been up there because I feel like Spirit is kind of chasing the same thing Prince of Egypt is, where these movies are kind of like There's a time in the 90s, and I'll talk about this when we talk about Prince of Egypt, but there's a time in the 90s when Beauty and the Beast is so big and it gets that Best Picture nom that everyone wants the second animated Best Picture nom. And I feel like Spirit is definitely chasing that in the same sense that Prince of Egypt did, but Road to El Dorado doesn't. But then, as you said, Road to El Dorado has like stacked cast, it's Elton John music.
Fun fact about The Road to El Dorado: a graduate from my high school plays Tullio.
Oh, well, that's not an interesting fact.
Kevin Kline?
Well, I don't mean it like that, but like that's always your... You can
that's
just
like
say that about any Kevin Kline movie. You can just be
Jim
like...
Yeah, exactly. Lived in my hometown.
Yeah, well, St. Louis is home to John Hamm.
Yeah,
so
I'll say that's an interesting fact, but I know your Kevin Kline games. So I have
nobody else does. Nobody else does.
I have one more question, and you guys were kind of getting there, but Danny, before you look up anything about the Prince of Egypt, let me ask you my last question.
Sorry, I didn't
see
anything. So I was just opening it up to page 4.
So I just asked you about the budgets of these films. Yeah. I want you now to list them in order of gross revenue.
Okay, that one obviously Sinbad's last.
Yeah, so we can work together on this one because I think we can both. I really want to hit you with the Prince of Egypt in gross revenue, simply for the fact that out of all of those 4 movies, every single person knows the Prince of Egypt.
Yeah, I also yes, I think Prince of Egypt is on top, especially because it also comes out early enough that the animation marketplace is not super crowded yet.
And it looks so unique, and everyone's like, whoa.
Not only does it look unique, but it looks unique while also still appearing like, oh, this must be like the Disney animated movie this year, because Mulan came out in summer, and this is like at Christmas. I assume that's like how the schedule is. I actually don't know.
Yeah, so I think I want to go with top of the tier, Prince of Egypt, El Dorado because they have the name recognition behind it, then Spirit because nobody remembers it, and then Sinbad because it was bad.
Yeah, I think I'll go with that. I think it was just diminishing returns all the way down. Every movie came back less. Because I know for a fact, without looking at it, that Prince of Egypt made $100 million. Because I keep track of box office on my Letterboxd. So I know it made $100 million in the US.
Now
but I don't know about anything else.
Are you talking box office revenue or period revenue? Like revenue total?
Well, I don't think they keep track of period revenue. I don't think there'd be an easy way to find the home video sales. Maybe Mark did, in which case I'm screwed. No, I'm not. If we are, I'll move Spirit up one, because I feel like every girl owned a DVD of Spirit.
Direct to VHS. Give me Spirit. All right, let's hear how we're moving.
So you all are... It's so interesting how you all think of this, because the story is much stranger by the numbers. So, The Prince of Egypt was the highest grossing film at what I found was $200 million, actually.
It might be 200, I don't know. I just know it's on the 100 million list.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it
would be on a 100 million list if it made 200, because it, you know.
Yeah. Second is actually Spirit at 112 million. It might be 111 million.
Are these US? By the way, are these US or is this worldwide?
I believe these are worldwide.
Oh, that might be why.
Worldwide grosses.
Yeah, I don't... Okay, go on, though.
I only care about America.
Well, I'll be honest. In box office tracking, international tracking only began around in 2012, 2013. So for the time this movie came out, sorry.
So it would have to be. It would have to be U.S.
Yeah.
Sinbad made 80 million, and El Dorado made 76 million, which means that El Dorado is not the only box office bomb, but it is the only one that actually made less than its budget.
Hemorrhaged money.
Yeah. And that was the second film that they put out.
And they still made more.
Yeah, well, so, I mean, you were right. Sinbad, sunk it, but it was more that they just stopped making traditional animation after they made Sinbad. It wasn't like Sinbad was the first traditional animation that had bombed.
Clearly. Yeah. It was a lot of them.
All right, we'll say right now, I'm opening up the domestic gross right now just out of curiosity for all these, but keep talking while I load them.
Yeah, I'm looking up.
I think I'll be, you can fact check me. I think it's a very interesting look at how the arc happened, because it really wasn't like it just petered out. It like
I like that
immediately
Josephines
bombed.
is in this one.
What
in
is it?
Sinbad. Josephines is in Sinbad.
Yeah.
Let me order these in the U.S. by how much they are. Egypt is the highest, and that's the only one that hit 100 in the U.S. Then Spirit and like it barely hit 100. It was like 101 million in the U.S., which is fine. That's about what Hunchback and Mulan do. Like, that is a good number. Like,
$101 million. I would say that's pretty good.
Yeah. Then Spirit makes 73 million in the US, which is honestly better than I thought it did.
All the horse girls were like, Mom, I have to go see this movie right now, and everyone needs to see it.
Have you never seen Spirit? I feel like I've seen it twice or 3 times.
El Dorado makes $50 million, not 30, $50 million. I was looking at its opening week because I'm just curious, like, was there another kids movie out that like killed it? Because this like seems very low for what it is.
While you look that up, and I think this will go along with like my weird first experience with Prince of Egypt that I want to talk about later. But
Yeah.
the only memory I have of like literally seeing the movie Spirit was when I was like 4 or 5, and I was being babysat by my friend's mother, and we saw that, and it was put in, and I remember like there's Spirit, and then there's the tan colored horse that is a girl that he's like, oh, would you like to horse marry me? And that is the only thing that I know about that movie. I don't remember like actually seeing it start to finish. I don't think I have. But yeah. So
I don't know if
that's
I've seen Spirit start to finish either.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I don't have context for how El Dorado bombed, but I do have context how Sinbad bombed. Sinbad's U.S. gross was $26 million, which is significantly way worse than El Dorado.
So we were right in our hearts.
Sinbad did not open the top 5 of its opening weekend. It was beaten by the 6th weekend of Finding Nemo. The 6th weekend of it being out. That is how bad Sinbad bombed. It also opened the week before Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl.
Ooh.
So
we had 2 other ocean movies fighting for the spots, and the 2 better ones succeeded.
yes.
Yeah. I will say, for anyone who hasn't seen any of these movies, I would rewatch any of these any day.
I don't know if I've seen El Dorado all the way through.
What is wrong with you? That is a cinematic masterpiece.
I mean, wait till you hear what I have to say about Prince of Egypt.
I can't, well, that too. I can't say for certain whether Spirit is worth a rewatch, but I will concur with Mark. The 3 that I've seen, I would simply rewatch anytime, any day.
I mean, we all know that if this podcast like gets to the point where we're caught off the Pixar, I'll make Mark keep doing it. We'll have to watch DreamWorks movies. I'm joking, obviously. You look like I'm blindsiding you.
Oh no, because you said you were about to blindside me. Honestly, doing the research for today's game, I was like, man, what if we did a 4-episode thing on just these DreamWorks?
What if you guys
lose
just
my
did
mind.
A Bug's Life for 3 episodes?
We did Bugs Life. It's about to come out.
It's gonna, well, by the time this episode's
really
out, it will have already come out.
Yeah.
I'm really just spoiling everything for myself, huh?
Yeah.
No, it's. I mean, you just know what Pixar films exist. So.
All right. Shall we? Well, first, let's ask. We're gonna move on to our
Main event.
Now, not really the main event. First, we gotta ask Michael a couple questions about Pixar.
Oh, I thought that was the main event.
The main event is Prince of Egypt. Sorry, Michael.
Okay.
It's the Prince of Egypt with Michael.
What are
It's
you
not
talking
Michael with the Prince of Egypt.
What are you talking about? I am the Prince of Egypt. Did you not know? Wow!
Okay, Michael, how did you first encounter Pixar?
I can't say for certain my first encounter with Pixar, but I can say my most vivid memory is watching Toy Story 2 because I liked it better than Toy Story 1. And I can tell you why. One, objectively, it's better because Buzz Lightyear is not being a tool the entire film.
It's the only movie.
However,
it's the only Toy Story movie like that. That's true. Sorry, go on. But it's the only Toy Story movie that he's. Yeah, sorry. Go.
But it also made me actually care about these characters because in Toy Story 1, they were just kind of like, haha, the toys are alive. We all want Andy to like us, otherwise we're going in the trash. But in Toy Story 2, we learned that these living beings can feel emotions outside of like, I don't want to die. So we learn that they like have higher cognitive ability other than like, my entire existence is to make sure this child is happy. And we really see that when we learned that Andy's mom was Jesse's original owner. We see all that fun stuff, and that's my conspiracy theory, by the way, because Andy's cowboy hat is the same as the little girl's cowboy hat that owns Jesse. And where would he get that same cowboy hat if not his mom? Boom.
Not because Woody was like a very popular toy.
If you look at Woody's hat, no, I will not accept this, because if you look at Woody's hat, it is brown. If you look at the hat Andy has, and you look at the hat that the little girl who owned Jesse has, and Jesse's hat, those three hats are significantly more similar in color and in design. So, Mark, rewatch Toy Story 2 while you're rewatching all your DreamWorks movies.
Well, it's literally on our schedule for 2 weeks from now.
I'm really just spoiling everything.
Well, I haven't rewatched it. I'm happy. I'm excited to rewatch Toy Story 2. Toy Story 2's...
Oh, it's so good. Yes, but all this to say, also it had a bad guy that wasn't just like a kid with issues. It was like an actually like not great being.
You know, yeah. I don't want to get too much into it because we will do a Toy Story 2 episode. But now that you say that, I realize that Toy Story 2 is kind of the prototypical like twist villain that we now see in like every single animated movie. Yeah. And
they just redid the same thing in Toy Story 3 or 4. Which one had the purple bear?
3. I mean, well, again, we're going to talk about Toy Story 3 in a while, but I like Toy Story 3, and I always shit talk on it a ton, and then I rewatch it like, oh no, I actually like it, you know? But I always feel like the take that I always get from people who don't like it are like, it's just Toy Story 2, but longer. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty fair. Toy Story 2 is a tighter film.
And it was just so...
I still like Toy Story 3, but 2 is better.
You got Big Al in the chicken suit. My God, the traffic cones. My God.
One of my favorite things someone once pointed out to me is that Wayne Knight really isn't so many... like, the guy who voices Al, he's in so many classic movies. He's in Jurassic Park.
Yeah. He's still, like, doing
the thing.
He was in Blind Spotting, which I figure... I don't think you've seen, but that was a really good movie with Daveed Diggs from a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So, Michael, what about, you know, we told you we're doing the Pixar podcast. What draws you to the Prince of Egypt?
A lot of things. One, the animation's absolutely stunning because it was like, it set up the precedent for like what a 2D animation movie is. I also really like that one scene where they go real 2D and they go with the hieroglyphics. Yeah. And I never knew that animation could be horrifying until I saw that, because being raised in a Western world, our closest thing to hieroglyphics is what we learn in like our geography class for the first time in like 4th or 5th grade. And we're like, these pictures look kind of weird. And then I saw them moving and I was like, this is really uncomfortable. All this, because it's like that art style has different angles. Also, I took a lot of art history classes for my classics degree, so I know about like art too. So the weird angles, the weird like anatomy of depictions of humans and hieroglyphics, and then seeing it move also is really unsettling. So that part of the animation style is really, really cool. Also, the music is gorgeous. I find it very interesting that my 2 favorite animated movie musicals are both heavily religious themed, and that's why I like the music so much. So like, for example, Prince of Egypt, very heavily based on Jewish music tradition. And then my other favorite is The Hunchback of Notre Dame, because listening to the Dies Irae and Ave Maria, all of those quote unquote classic hymns thrust into a modern depiction is just so good, and the composers do it so well. They really convey the emotions of what the characters are singing about. It's gorgeous. So in an animated movie musical, what draws me to this? The animation. and the music.
Very nice.
Yeah, and I also like that because sometimes they try to like leave the religion to a minimum. For example, like in Hunchback of Notre Dame, when they don't have to make it religious, they really don't. They try to focus on like, oh, it's not God judging you for wanting to kill a baby. It's the eyes in the statues of the church, because the movie is called Hunchback of Notre Dame. But in The Prince of Egypt, they do it very well in that they're like, yeah, it's a religious movie. It's about Moses. So the way they did it and treated it with the respect it deserves, even though they changed the plot of like the original story in Exodus, but it's more dramatic that way, so it's better, because in the original Exodus story, Ramesses is Moses' uncle because Pharaoh's daughter finds him, not his wife. But in the movie, because they're brothers, it makes it so much better, because now Moses is always in Ramesses' shadow. So that's part of like, oh, are you doing this because why didn't, this was your home, why are you trying to kill us, why, I called you brother, what is this? So it adds that extra flavor drama to push the plot forward.
How familiar are you with the Charlton Heston 10 Commandments?
I know that there was an old man with long gray hair and a long gray beard, and he was white, and he yelled at them. And it had really, 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 really bad lightning and thunder special effects.
R.I.P.
Excuse
to the 10
me.
Commandments.
It's whatever.
Well, I kind of wondered because, I mean, this is so we just watched the movie. And Danny, what you wanted to pop in with something?
Well, I mean, we could just we have a format, Mark. We gotta follow the format.
What? How we
What?
first? Oh, that's right. Oh, okay. That's actually good discipline, because
Yeah,
my thing is gonna get.
You're
really
fine,
deep.
Michael. He's the one messing up here. Okay,
Yes.
You're doing everything we asked you to do.
What the heck?
Okay. So
Mark,
Danny,
come on.
where were you in your life when you first encountered the Prince of Egypt?
We do have to do one disclaimer though before I enter this, which is that, and I'm surprised, Michael, you didn't ask us this, but it's okay because maybe you looked it
Why
up.
would he ask us anything?
I know. But because we asked him, why does he want to come on for this, not a Pixar movie for our Pixar podcast? We didn't explain why this is a Pixar movie, or like.
Well, I kind of didn't ask that because I floated Toy Story at you, and you were like, "Yeah, sure." And then I was like, then you told me we could do Prince of Egypt, and then I mean, I know Michael, you and I have had like talks about like Christianity
Specifically
and stuff
this
like
film.
that. And and like this film and like the works of Stephen Schwartz.
I was like, oh.
And yeah, so that's I kind of gave you this sort of Toy Story, and you were like Prince of Egypt all the way.
Yeah. Well,
Do
I'll
you have
listen.
anything to add to that?
No, that is pretty accurate. Mark and I do talk about organized religion and philosophy quite often, shockingly, actually. But I will say, given the choice between Toy Story and The Prince of Egypt, are y'all literally every day, all day, Prince of Egypt for sure.
All right. Okay. I just gotta clarify for the listeners then why we're talking about Prince of Egypt. Like, we gotta say, that's all I'm saying is like, we gotta say how this qualifies for the pod. Michael, you're good. This guy's
Mom, Dad, is it my fault?
No, you're doing great, son.
So, The Prince of
still love
Egypt
you.
is directed by 3 people. Steve Hickner, Simon Wells, both of who are not relevant to our podcast at all. But the third director, who is actually listed first, because it's alphabetical, is Brenda Chapman, who does not go on to direct another film until 2012, where she also co-directs a movie at Pixar called Brave, which was not supposed to be co-directed, and we'll get into a whole Brave story when we talk about Brave eventually. But
It's a really good movie.
I should rewatch it before I make any comments on it one way or the other, because I don't want to come into this with a negative aura. I'll put it that way. But she directed this first, and ergo we will talk about The Prince of Egypt on our Pixar podcast.
Well,
All
yeah,
right,
because
what?
it's how she led into Brave, one of the greatest cinematic masterpieces of our generation.
I'm more likely to agree with you on Prince of Egypt, man. Come on.
This is a detour.
Oh, don't
right?
worry. I'm hijacking the podcast. We're talking about Brave now.
No, we're not. We're going to talk about Brave at some other
No,
point.
we'll talk about Prince of Egypt. But
Should we do the detour intro?
What, the detour?
I just need something to. You haven't heard it yet, but I put the screeching noise in, so that'll be in the next episode. Yeah. Danny, where were you in your life when you first watched The Prince of Egypt?
I just came in from a flight from LaGuardia, and I took the train and the bus to get to Washington Heights, and on the way, I got panhandled by someone.
Jesus
But you
Christ.
know what? And then I got in. I was like, I'm ready to watch The Prince of Egypt for the first time in my life. And then Mark was like, let's get some chicken first. And so we got some chicken, and then we watched The Prince of Egypt. And then right after that, I decided to go on the Discord call.
In defense of everyone, I feel like someone asked you for money and then you panhandled yourself.
Yeah, I mean,
the way you told me.
I mean, let's be real. You can't actually. I don't feel like you could say I got panhandled. I think that's not like a prop. Like, there's always a choice.
Yeah, I want to walk that back.
You got robbed.
Yeah.
Like,
You
not get
no,
robbed
you didn't
either.
get robbed
You were
either.
swindled. You were swindled.
Yeah, that's a bit close.
he got
I
like
feel.
Jedi mind tricked.
Yeah.
Or not
That
Jedi
wasn't a
mind, he
Jedi
did-
mind trick. That was just some dude being like, "Can I have some money?" And Danny was like, "Here's all of it."
Yeah, It was a gesture of goodwill.
That was a Danny mind trick on himself.
It's very again. It's so weird it happens because I never give money in Chicago.
Well, no, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It was just
like,
a lot
Danny, how
of
dare you give money to someone who
But-
needed it?
It was, no, I mean that's
No.
great. It was
We're all
like,
gonna get canceled for this episode.
no, it's not. It's not. It was good that you gave him money. It's just I knew you were coming like on a bus, and then you told me you like gave away like a chunk of money on the way here, and I was partly like, all right, well, great, but also like,
My
Oh, I
guy.
hope you get here okay.
Anyway, the people would need to know, where did you get chicken from?
oh, nothing, nowhere important. I got it from Kennedy's because they have like a basket deal,
And the place I wanted to get it from is like
Is
I only
Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen?
no, I'm actually off the Popeyes train of late because
If you got me Popeyes, I'd actually be like, dude, what the heck? I'd be like, give me some New York chicken.
Hey,
Well, no,
hey,
I mean,
hey,
I don't know how to-
Hey, Cajun fries.
I like
Make it
Popeyes.
good.
I eat Popeyes at home though.
the thing
That's
that I'm
fair.
on is like a local, probably not like a local chain, but like John's Fried Chicken, which is like a Dominican place, and I love their food.
We'll go
but
sometime.
I've only ordered like I've only ordered like personal plates from them. I just knew that Kennedy's had like a basket
like
deal.
A thicky
could-
boy, shareable guy.
Yeah, so I just thought to go there first. But like John's Fried Chicken has like you can get like tostones and like strips of
I
giant
love
chunks of
Totino's
meat.
pizza rolls.
Yeah.
Yes, Danny, you have a question?
Yeah, let's get back on topic.
All right, so
Wait, I have more to say though. This might be where I first encountered it, but I wanted to explain why I've never watched this movie. Because I
Yes.
feel like whenever there's a big movie like this that you've missed, there's a reason, and I know the reason for this. My parents have I come from a very Christian background, and they obviously would have no issue with this film. Not like Hunchback of Notre Dame, which I was not allowed to watch because it was too scary. I don't think this had an issue with it being too scary. I think it's just
It was much scarier than Hunchback.
I
of
would
Notre Dame.
agree.
Okay,
But
but we can get
You're
into
ignoring
that.
the hieroglyphs.
We can get into that. But I think the real reason I never watched this is that my dad, I think the 10 Commandments of Charlton Heston is like one of his top 20 movies ever. So the whole idea was like, yeah, you can watch the cartoon one or we can watch the real one. And so I never watched The Prince of Egypt because of that. Because I'm very familiar with the Charlton Heston one, even though I haven't seen it probably in about 15 years. But we would watch it every year on Easter. That or Sound of Music. Honestly, we probably watch both of them over the weekend. So
That's a strong choice for Easter.
they
Michael,
air it
are
on
you saying
ABC
that-
sometimes.
yeah,
They
are
air
you
like
t-
Sound of Music and
I actually asked you about that because I also watched the Ten Commandments pretty much every year because it played on ABC like during Easter. Fun fact, I think the only year that it didn't play was 1999 because the year before something with Tom Hanks got more viewers than the Ten Commandments. So like in 98, Tom Hanks was bigger than the Ten Commandments, and then they didn't
Hanks
do it in
was bigger
99.
than Moses.
Yeah. That was almost what I wanted my game to be. It was like lists of celebrities that said they were that
They were
said
bigger
that were
than
bigger than
That's John
religious
Lennon.
figures.
I was looking up, this is such a tangent, but I was looking up because I was curious if the Schindler's List broadcast was that year. I know that Easter would not make sense for Schindler's List, but I know the Schindler's List broadcast was pretty huge because it was aired uncut without commercials the first time it was on TV.
Oh, wow.
Because,
Wow.
yeah, because it was like, people need to see it if they couldn't afford, like, poor people need to see this movie. So, I don't know. I don't know.
Really?
Actually,
the
fun,
poor
I
need
think
to
the
see
only other time
Schindler's
I've heard of
List.
that happening, and it's such a weird comparison. Can you guys think? It happened in the last 4 years. A movie aired uncut on broadcast TV without commercials.
I mean, so many movies could have come out in the last 4 years that people needed to see.
You know what
That's
I mean?
not the
Like,
reason, though.
It's
All
been,
right,
it's been a tough time.
All right. I'll just say it then. After Chadwick Boseman died, they aired Black Panther
Oh,
on ABC for like no
wow.
commercials. Just
that's
Wow,
actually
I didn't
really
know that.
cool.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
and they followed it up with like a 2020 special of everyone, talking about it morning.
That's
Oh,
really
that-
cool, actually.
Yeah. My mom was like, "Great movie," but I had to turn off as soon as it went to the 2020 special because I don't want to cry.
I wanted to talk about how I first encountered Prince of Egypt because it was probably around the same time that I was watching all of these DreamWorks films. And it's weird because of the ones that we mentioned, and compared to a lot of other Disney movies, it is the most religious. And it was really affecting to see this movie because, at least in the Catholic school where I went to school, like, media was a really big part of that education. I was thinking, Danny, as we were just having this rewatch, like how many times I've seen
That.
Sorry.
What?
I had to air quote the re for me. He said, as a
Oh,
re
yeah,
rewatch.
yeah. Well, it is like a partial rewatch. I'm the only one who did a rewatch. I'm the only one who did a rewatch for this episode.
I went to
Apparently
Catholic
you
school
do,
too. I
because you were
watched
making
it.
some deep cuts.
Yeah. But it was like I've seen footage of like History Channel recreations of the like Pillar of Fire scene and the parting of the Red Sea like so often. So this movie really became, in a way that I was just absorbing all of this different media and kind of making sense of the soup, it became part of my religious education because of its unique perspective and also its portrayal of the Old Testament God, which I think, at least where, Catholic is really one among many denominations in America, but with Catholic, it's much more like New Testament and nice God and forgiving God. And this movie is very much the opposite of that. It's very much like, the Jewish God is one God among many like powerful tribal gods, and they're all like trying to beat each other, which is like old how it is in the Torah kind of. So it was I want to say that it was maybe not difficult, but it was something I had to like reckon with as a young Christian boy, that like this is a story that exists alongside the religious education that I'm receiving. Does that make sense?
It does, and it's actually an interesting take because my religious education focused more on like when we were reading the Old Testament, it was like there's one God. They're gonna be like, and then the god Baal came, and Marmaduke and Marduk and all these names. When we were talking about the Old Testament, and like anytime that came up, they were like, all right, those guys are demons. Because remember when God introduced himself to Moses? He didn't say a name. He said, and this is true both in the religious text and also the film, I am, well, like literally, I can't remember like off the top of my head the actual literal translation from the Hebrew, but he was like, I am who I am. I am, like, as a means to, I'm the guy, I'm the one, I'm the thing that is always the thing. All these other things have names because they were created. Me, I don't need a name because I did the creating. So that's an interesting take that I hadn't heard before.
I've never heard that before either. That's actually really cool.
Well, it's because, I mean, we're kind of coming on it from the back end of history, where Christianity and Judaism and all these Abrahamic religions are kind of they're very widespread. But that's
all three of them.
Yes, all three of them, among many others. But that's honestly, part of this is because I am doing a production of The Tempest right now, and we're having a lot of discussion about how Prospero relates to the supernatural characters. And it kind of opened up for me this way of reading the Old Testament as the Jewish people kind of finding their... I don't mean this in like a sacrilegious way, but you can compare the Jewish God to like the familiar spirit of the Jewish people, and that he makes the covenant with Abraham. And if anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, it probably sounds like we're getting like really into the weeds here, but this is just...
Don't worry, eventually I'll bring it back to the movie.
Yeah,
read Exodus. Just read the Bible. Read the Pentateuch.
But really, that was what I was thinking on this rewatch, was it's like, this is a movie that shows us the Jewish God in a battle with the Egyptian gods. And it is clearly from a contemporary perspective, made by people who are Jewish and all sorts of other contemporary religions. But it's just intriguing to... It's surprising to take it back to the Old Testament, having God be the Jewish God be like one God among many gods, and they have to fight each other, which I think goes back to me struggling with the film as a kid, because you're right, Michael. It's like you said, is like taught about this thing if you're Christian. The Jewish God, which is the God of Jesus, is the one God. So having the conflict between that God, when they're like doing their magic with the snakes, and Steve Martin and Martin Short, which was very fun to see them voicing these things. It's
classic.
Yeah, it's an interesting counterpoint to a lot of the things that we're taught in school, even more than like some, like Harry Potter is not as confrontational in a way that I think Prince of Egypt is, in terms of things that you learn about
miracle versus magic.
Yeah. So
I just thought of this.
I
just thought of this because we're talking about like, the religious aspects, talking about God. The last time I watched The Prince of Egypt was actually like a month and a half ago, give or take.
Wow, how dare you not revisit it a month and a half later? You're definitely not going to remember anything about it.
The bangers.
Yeah, I know. That's why I want to ask you guys, because you watched it tonight. Did you watch it on Hulu?
Can we watch it for free on Hulu?
No, we can't. No, it's not on Hulu anymore. Because for reasons I'm not going to get into on this podcast, I was supposed to watch this last night and I couldn't. Yeah. And I had the DVD checked out from the library at home because I saw it wasn't on Hulu. So
then I have to ask again. Was there like a message like right before the actual movie started to play?
Yes. I was going to talk about that.
I wanted to talk about that because we were talking about the
thing.
Like, do you have the text for it? Do you know what it said?
I can Google it real quick. Yeah, I'm sure I can find it
because that popped into my head and it was like, hey, like. This is kind of like, this is historical fiction, but like it's kind of not, and like please acknowledge that. Thank you.
Oh wait, hold on. I can Google the images right there.
Takes itself very seriously.
You want me to read it right now?
Not in a dismissive way.
I would love that actually.
All right. Let me find it. The motion picture you're about to see is an adaptation of the Exodus story. While artistic and historical license has been taken, we believe that this film is true to the essence, values, and integrity of a story that is a cornerstone of faith for millions of people worldwide. The biblical story of Moses can be found in the book of Exodus.
I like that. I like that a lot because they're acknowledging like, oh, yes,
I thought that was really cool.
Taken. Yeah, and it I think it's something that more films could do if they wanted to, because the amount of like quote unquote Christ figures present in films since, I don't know, they started, it's not subtle. And I have never watched The Passion of the Christ. I don't know if anything like similar to that plays beforehand, but I feel like it could, but I don't know why that step hasn't been taken, you know?
I like, to me, speaking from not really a religious aspect, but just as like a film aspect, I think this would be a cool thing to do in general. Like, just movies that aren't even necessarily biblical. I think the idea of having this humble nature of before is like, this is an adaptation. If you'd like the real story,
go back and read the book.
Please check it out.
Read
this
the book.
will still be a good, like, we still really tried to make this a good adaptation. Like,
yeah,
I think it's a really cool...
It's an acknowledgement of, we did what we could.
Yeah.
And the film, like Mark said, the film takes itself very seriously because it has to. But the creators were staying humble.
Can I go off of that to talk about something with this movie that's more the perspective I'm coming from, even though I definitely want to get more of what you're talking about. But to me, watching this is a movie that's always, like, it exists for me, but I've never gone to it. But I am very well aware, as a Pixar fan and a Disney animation industry fan, what Jeffrey Katzenberg, who's the head of DreamWorks, does, is that, like, he quits Disney and he goes over and brings basically, we're going to do the Bug movie before Disney does. And then this is very clearly like, we're going to try to beat Disney at their own game and try to, as I said earlier, try to get that second animated feature Best Picture nomination. With a very serious movie. What this struck to me is specifically, because you talked about it earlier, Hunchback of Notre Dame, comparing, this feels very much like an evolution of that in the sense that the worst part of Hunchback of Notre Dame, you might fight me on this, because I hate them, it'd be a 5-star movie to me, but it's a 4.5 because of it, is the gargoyles really do not work for me at all in that film.
Sure.
This movie only really has comedic relief in Martin Short and Steve Martin, but they are so restrained compared to the gargoyles. And this is very much like a heavy movie throughout, because that's what the story demands to be, which is also cool, because it's, to me at the time, if I went to go see this as like an animation fan, I have to imagine, like, you know, people, you know, American animation really, as you said, does not truly evolve yet. And all these Disney movies are said they're aiming for adults, but they still have, like, you know, the jokes for kids in them. Whereas this just totally, like, ignores that and it's like, no, we are making a movie for adults. And I feel like the disclaimer kind of, like, sets you up for that, too. It's like, we are taking this seriously, and you need to know that this is not going to be, like, an animated movie for kids. There will be a few jokes that maybe your kids will like, but it's going to be... Yeah.
It's a human movie. There's humor in it because that's the human condition, but, like...
Yes.
It's a serious story. Like, yeah, people are gonna, like, for, like, to use a very abrasive example, people are gonna crack jokes at a funeral, and everyone's gonna laugh. But it's like, that's just the nature of the beast. It's a serious event. You're allowed to laugh, but you need to acknowledge, like, oh, this is serious. Also, we're gonna talk about the gargoyles later, because I have a comment. But we're not talking about Hunchback of Notre Dame. We're talking about The Prince of Egypt.
That's fair. It's very fair. But no, yeah, I feel like looking at this from the perspective of, this is Jeffrey Katzenberg trying to prove he's like the mind behind the Disney Renaissance type of thing is really interesting, because I think it both does stuff I wish the Disney Renaissance would do, and then weirdly jumps ahead in some ways to like Tarzan and post-Renaissance stuff.
Yeah.
And I prefer the stuff that is more trying to perfect the Renaissance stuff than jump ahead, if that makes sense. Like, for example, I think it's kind of a bummer most of the songs are in montage. I wish we did get more, like, actual, like, the characters are singing, personally.
See, but that's why, that's actually the complete opposite of me. That's why I like the way that the Prince of Egypt does the songs, because it does them how everyday life is, as opposed to, like, in a musical, of course, heightened language piece, because people are singing. People don't normally just sing to each other, unless you're like me and my friends, who do it because we have no discernible personalities other than #theaterkid. That's a joke. I love all my friends. We're just stupid. But
R.I.P.
the way the Prince of Egypt handles it, yeah. Rip my friends, all one of them. It's Christian Boswell.
Oh, I'm
Thank you.
sorry.
No, you're good. I'm glad both of you laugh. I'm glad you're laughing at that. But the way that the Prince of Egypt does it, pretty much every time that people are singing, if you look at it, the first time is people suffering together. It sounds like a song people would sing, like if they're on a chain gang breaking rocks.
Oh, I
while
think
they're
that song's great.
in
Don't get me
prison.
wrong, that song's
No,
good.
no.
That song's fine. Yeah.
Well, there's that. The next song, it's a lullaby. So someone would be singing that just in life. The next one is a prayer, which is it's the same melody as the lullaby. It's the sister singing it. Every song is quote unquote more natural. It's more quote unquote realistic, true to reality. Except
mean
for
diegetic?
when what?
Mark
Never
wants to
mind.
fight you.
Okay.
Oh, I mean, it's just diegetic might be the term, but it's related to an old
Oh.
conflict on the pod. Never mind. Go on.
Oh, I didn't know it. I thought you said let me
Oh.
object, and I was like,
No,
brother.
No, Mark and I have had
Um,
arguments about what constitutes a musical. We don't need to get into it.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Anyway, the only real times that I can think of where someone singing a song is out of place is when Moses is like, "This is my home," the first time, because they borrow that again during the plagues. They borrow that melodic line because it's called thematic music. Oh my god. But the first time he's singing like, "This is my home," ba 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 da 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 da, it's a soliloquy because he's talking to himself the entire time, as opposed to a monologue, which is delivered to other people present in the room in the world of whatever dramatic action is happening. But the next time that it wouldn't really make sense is when like the plagues. I'm not gonna count that because that's God and the angels singing like, "Hey, Ramesses, you big dumb idiot, you screwed up." But the next, no, I think this happened before then. I don't know the order of the songs, but when Brian Stokes Mitchell is singing "Lie to Lie Lie Loo Lie Lie," it makes sense to have the music there, but he starts singing with the music, which is like, okay, I'll suspend my disbelief for that, but it still works because they're at a party, they're dancing, they're singing. This man is a priest, so he knows hymns, he knows these songs to God to pray. And then at the very, very end, when I don't remember their names, but Moses' wife and Moses' sister are singing "There Can Be Miracles If You Believe," that to me, that again sounds like it would be something like a lullaby. So, this is a cultural lullaby. We're singing this. Oh, that's why everyone else starts singing too, because the only times, at least that I can see, like I said before, the characters sing when it's natural, except for that one soliloquy with Moses.
You're describing a very rough, like, live production of The Prince of Egypt, which I would love to see based on that understanding of
The place of songs in the story.
Well, from what I've heard, are you familiar with the musical? Because I'm actually more familiar with the musical than I am with the movie.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with the musical, but I know it exists.
Well, it's like a story play, right? It's not like that's the structure of it. It's very like Children of Eden. I actually have never seen God's Fall, so I can't say if it's like God's spell.
Oh, so it's like
spell is bangers.
It's a we know we're telling you a story.
Yes, type of thing.
We're gonna tell you a story, as opposed to like The Music Man, where it's like, let me sing about 76 trombones.
Yeah, no, yeah,
and
no
it's
better.
Totally fine.
I feel like a comparison I could make that maybe would make more sense for me, maybe not for everyone else, is like, it's not like the Tarzan musical, where they made all these characters just start singing Phil Collins songs in the words of the play, the world of the play. Is that not what the Tarzan musical is? Am I wrong?
I haven't seen the live action.
I wanna
musical.
know. But anyway, that's my take on the music of The Prince of Egypt.
I like your take on this, but I do want to also, I have one other thing about the music I wanted to say, which is that the music to me also just feels so, again, let's compare it to the Disney Renaissance, right? Like, I feel like even though obviously Elton John and Alan Menken are different composers, their music does sound like, oh yeah, that's the same genre. But then Steven Schwartz comes in and does an actual Steven Schwartz show with this music. And like, as soon as I heard it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is like 100% like the Schwartz stuff I've seen.
This is just Pippin.
It's Pippin. It's just, at one point I was like, I just went to Mark like, lost in the wilderness. Like, what was going on?
Yes. I also am not a stranger to the rain, Moses.
So it's just like, to me, it's just like, whoa, like that's another thing to me where it just definitely feels like it is like trying to be like a big serious animated movie, because it's like, yeah, you think Beauty and the Beast is a Broadway musical, well this is like legit Broadway, like actually like crazy medleys, like stuff like that, like the type of, as you brought it back, like they bring back the motifs within, which is the way the other things don't do this.
Before we go any further, I just realized, one, I do not remember anyone's names except for Moses, Ramesses, and God. I previously stated that I think I said Yohebe was the priest. That is not true. It is. I'm pretty sure his name is Jericho. Yohebe is Moses' birth mother.
Yes.
I don't know why that information just popped into my head, but if anyone's listening and they're like, this big stupid idiot doesn't know the names of the characters. First of all, you're right. Second of all, don't yell at me.
I mean, to be honest,
that's an incredible deep cut for a character who doesn't really appear on screen and is only talked about. But you got her name right. The thing about the priest, his name is Jethro. It's not Jericho.
Jericho is it's religious.
I just want to give you like fair cred here, is that I'm pretty sure that if you asked me any of these characters, I'd be like, well, there's Ramsey.
There is Moses.
And
Ramsey. I also know Hotep and Hoy because they made me smile as a child.
I was going to say everyone else in this I will refer by their actual name, like, oh, there's Martin Short and Steve Martin, and then I'd be like, oh, Jeff Goldblum, you're at it again.
Yeah.
Which we got to talk about, like, when we realized it was Jeff Goldblum. Because I was like, I think that might be Jeff Goldblum, and then we checked, and then it was, and then immediately afterwards just could not hear him going like, well, like, it's like very Jeff Goldblum-ism.
Well, hello, welcome to the...
And it got to the point where at the end where like that character just stares before he crosses the red seats Moses, where we just started laughing because we imagine going, looks great. Like, so like, just like a very wow, like that's a great
wave there.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I did want to say also, that goes back to my I hate to be like, this is my thesis with the movie, that this is an attempt to win an Oscar. It's a very good attempt to win an Oscar. It's not a knock on the movie at all. But that's what I was gonna say. The cast is ludicrous. Like, remember,
ludicrously stacked.
Yeah, ludicrously stacked. Remember, for former listeners to the podcast, that we have established that celebrity voice acting, although it's always existed, only reached actually became a thing that was marketed when Aladdin came out 5 years prior to this. I would say this is the most stacked voice cast by far in an animated movie.
I'm trying to find just like a list of,
because Toy Story has a celebrity voice cast, but they're not like, it's Tom Hanks and Tim Allen. And then the rest of them are like really good character actors.
Yeah, I mean, The Lion King is up there.
You're going to look at
Matthew
me.
Broderick and James Earl Jones. Who else? Oh, Jeremy Irons. Sorry.
Nathan Lane.
Nathan Lane, my guy.
Is Nathan Lane big in 94?
I mean, I'm just saying that, well, I guess if you want to talk about it that way, then I see what you mean by the voice cast is stacked. Because they're all kind of...
Well, it's like, why do Steve Martin and Martin Short need to be those characters? It's not a problem that they are, but are like, why is Helen Mirren the mom who has 2 scenes?
You're going to look at me and tell me that Val Kilmer was just talking to himself in the scene that Moses was also just talking to God. But also, let's just read this list. Val Kilmer is Moses and God. Sandra Bullock as Miriam. That would be Moses' sister. I didn't remember her name. Steve Martin is Hotep. Martin Short is Hoy. Michelle Pfeiffer is Moses' wife Zipporah. Patrick Stewart is Seti the First. Jeff Goldblum is Aaron. Excuse me? Oh, one of these people is probably the singing voice of Moses, but Emic Byram is Moses again.
You're skipping one of the biggest names, bro.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I'm literally just reading the list from my phone.
Have you
can't
not
skip
seen...
Boy Wonder, Bobby
We will
Motown.
get there. We will get there. We will get there.
I'm literally staring at him. He's number 2 on the list.
Oh, you mean the real name? I meant the Boy Wonder, Bobby Motown. But Danny actually has
No, don't worry.
Bobby Motown.
It's not his actual, like, is that not like a stage name they added?
The voice
No, it's
of
still
Ramsey's son.
No,
Bobby
I'm
Motown.
stop speaking forever.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, all this to say,
Wait, we do have to acknowledge Ray Fiennes.
no.
What?
Ryan Stokes Mitchell first.
Okay, fine, but Ray Fiennes, Schindler's List. Come on, great.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, that's something I remember as a kid watching this and thinking that, like, that is not Danny Glover singing. It's, like, startling.
Yeah,
when he comes in.
very obviously not.
It's a fun fact about our little viewing experience. We didn't have a speaker, so I plugged my laptop into my bass amp. So we got to feel it in, like, surround sound.
Which sometimes was distorted, but sometimes like the distortion actually worked at certain scenes.
You got to hear
good movie for
you
that.
got to hear the Prince of Egypt with tinnitus.
Bizarre again, stacked voice cast. Why do you get Danny Glover to do 2 lines?
I
mean, I don't actually. It's not a problem, but it's just like, you know, you're trying to win that Oscar, bro.
What do you think about it as, like, a movie overall? Not just a piece of something from our past that we enjoy, but, like, overall, what do you think?
I think that it perfectly exemplifies the turn of phrase, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Because if you look at it, the parts are pretty fantastic. And when all of them come together, and I know I've said this earlier as a joke, but, like, truly, I would say this is a cinematic masterpiece because it is so well done. It is well written in that they did the thing. They took a story and then retold it, but, like, in an entertaining and fresh way. Especially because the market, especially in, like, movie musical territory, now it's just remake after remake after remake. That was pretty.
That, but I'm sure this will get a remake at some point again. This is a remake. This is a remake.
Yeah. Yeah, they wrote Exodus before The Prince of Egypt. You're right. But it already has one.
This is a good movie.
I'm not saying it's not. I never said those words.
I know, but you're like
defensive. You're defensive. But it already has one. It has the live stage musical adaptation. So when it's the first of its kind in however many years since the Ten Commandments first came out, and it was at a time when it was, like, right in a perfect pocket where, like, oh, the older siblings could watch it because they could understand the actual plot and get, like, oh, this is what's going on. And the younger siblings could get it because they were like, I read it, well, and I'm speaking from my own experience. Oh, I read about the Moses story in Bible class today at school. So not only was it a great film for one generation, it was a great film for multiple layers of the same generation, teetering on multiple generations, depending on if your parents liked animation or if you made your grandparents watch it with you or whatever. So I would say it is not only a movie for just kids, like Danny said earlier. It has a heavy focus on an older audience because of the themes.
Yeah, I also wanted to say, well, before I get into overall thoughts, because I think that's where we're headed, I wanted to say one thing I really like about this version of the movie, which, as someone who, again, grew up with Ten Commandments, and I think it's really cool that, well, first, I just want to make this one point about Ten Commandments versus this. I think it's really cool that the story exists in a 3-hour-long, like, live-action epic format, and then also in this 90-minute movie and animated musical format, because those are such widely different genres, and yet I haven't watched Ten Commandments forever, but I remember actually liking it compared to some of the other movies my dad showed me. So the fact that this story exists so well in that genre and so well in this genre shows just how rich the text of Exodus is, really.
Yeah.
And you were mentioning this when we were watching it, like how perfect it is, like that the story of Exodus naturally has a third act with the Red Sea.
Yep.
Like big third, and it's like always great.
It's like the plagues are the big midpoint, and then you have some downtime when Pharaoh lets them go, and then the climax is the Red Sea.
Yes.
I wouldn't even say that. If we're gonna go on a play format, I would say Crossing the Red Sea is like Act 3 drama, because they're like, we gotta go. They're coming after us. But then, where the Prince of Egypt ends and where the Ten Commandments keeps going, they get the Ten Commandments. And it's been so long since I've watched that movie. Do they get to the golden calf part?
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
no,
Exactly.
No, sorry. In the Ten Commandments they do. In Prince of Egypt they don't.
No, I know. That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
The Ten Commandments is the coolest scene in the movie.
Yeah,
he throws it down and like
and it shatters, and that's what I was talking about, like the bad storm CGI. But
it's 1956. Forgive it.
No, I know. I'm teasing. I know. I'm just going back. Like, please forgive 1956 CGI. Yeah, that needs to be forgiven. But I think that's why both of those films work so well, and why I didn't really consider The Prince of Egypt a remake of the Ten Commandments, because the Ten Commandments tells the 5-act story of Exodus.
Fair,
because like Act 4 is when they like start screwing up and they're like, hey guys, why are you doing this? And then Moses gets mad and hits a rock with his staff, and then God's like, you're never gonna enter the promised land, nerd. And then Exodus just kind of like ends there, to my recollection. But Prince of Egypt, they were like, Moses is gonna save us. Moses saved us. And that's why it ends on the uptick of Act 3, because it's a happy ending, because while it's focusing on the adults, it's still a kids movie.
Yeah, we stayed after the credits, and there's like a nice little thing where there's like an epitaph from both the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the Quran that all mention how Moses was chosen by God.
Yep.
But I have a joke I need to make where it's like, imagine if instead the post-credit scene was he comes down with those commandments, goes, "What have you done?" And then you get the caps.
No, it's actually they cut it, and it's actually just a shot-for-shot remake of the scene from the Ten Commandments, but it's Jerry Seinfeld as Moses. What are you doing?
No, what is going on? Okay, but the one thing I wanted to say this movie does that Ten Commandments doesn't, I don't think I've seen in any other version of the Exodus story, is it actually takes time to personify Ramses' son before he dies, which I think is a crazy choice to do in a good sense, because like it makes you feel actually Ramses' sorrow for losing his son.
Yeah, it's not like just it's just
super
not
important.
Yeah,
Sorry.
It's not like no, you're good. It's not like the classic thing where it's like, look at this character for 5 seconds and they die. It's like, Ramses like actually cares about his child. That's pretty wacky.
And it's also just crazy that of all the adaptations to do, it's the animated musical that's like, a child died, and who was like an actual child with like wants and needs.
A lot of children died, and I think they did that really well with like the very, very subtle voice acting of the gasps of the sound effects of like the very specific scene where it's like you see the light come down, you see the angel of death come down, you see that shadow projected on the wall, and you see like this child's soul leave his body and then collapse. And then you hear the mom scream, and you're like, "Oh, fuck!"
God, yeah, it's such a
her mother just found her child dead. That's horrific.
That would really that scene would really be my like Ari Aster, what movies scared you as a kid, and like what you take with you in your like art in the future.
Me like, with the hieroglyphs.
It's like I think about that quite often.
Yeah.
I have one. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you go.
I have one last thing I want to talk about personally with this movie, and then I'll be wrapped up. I don't know if you guys want to still talk about like religious stuff. We can still get into that. But and the reason I'm cutting you off is because it actually has to do with the hieroglyphics scene. Is that as this is an animation history podcast specifically about Pixar, one thing that this to me feels like a leap forward in is that obviously in Beauty and the Beast and Hunchback of Notre Dame and all the like, of course, Cave of Wonders, all these movies work on combining CGI with traditional animation. I think the obvious pinnacle in this is first Iron Giant and then Treasure Planet. I think those are the two that finally nail it. That said, I think this movie has some points where it looks iffy, but the payoff of the Red Sea actually like lifting up in CGI is like, I feel like the best looking use of this type of style.
And they're just walking through the aquarium. It's so good.
But I'm talking very specifically the
like,
rise of the
rise-
water and then the fall of the water looks so great.
Mhm.
Like, it is stunning. It's absolutely stunning animation. The whole movie is stunning animation. One thing I also point out to Mark, which isn't about CGI, is that I noticed they animate the red dyed water and the blood differently. That, you know, you're so used to seeing live action versions of the story where like the water is just dyed blood. But no, in this, it is blood and it's thick.
They can mess with the viscosity in
Yes.
a way that it's like, oh, by the way, just so you know, Steve Martin and Mr. Short, they're actually just playing you for... That's Kool-Aid. They got Kool-Aid in that bowl. This guy turned the entire fucking river into blood, except for that little pool where he was standing, which was a very important animated touch, because they animate the water moving. And as it moves through his little circle, it's water. The second it leaves his little circle, back to blood. And I think that's really, really cool.
In general, this is just such a gorgeously animated film.
It's
all
so
the way
detailed.
through.
It's so detailed.
Even the basic shots where I'm like, there's not really a CGI element. It's not like a stylistic change. I think about, it's obvious, but like the shots of the pharaoh with his like monument behind him and
in
he's
the
just
background.
in line with it. Yes.
And then the next time we see that same exact shot, it's Ramesses.
Yes.
Then his dad's Sphinx.
There's
then his. And then he's overshadowing his father. It's so good.
I think about this quote that I remember I got really mad at once from the Avatar The Last Airbender guys back when they were working on the Netflix show adaptation, where they were like, we want to remake it because we want to make it more cinematic. I was like, what are you talking about? That show is one of the most cinematic things I've ever seen because of how it knows how to do shot compositions. And I had a very similar thought while watching this and just seeing like how it constantly composes its characters against the scale, how it knows where to put the air quotes camera to make the most dynamic shot. Like, this is a beautiful movie, not only in, of course, the animation, the fluidity of the animation, but how it chooses to present itself compositionally.
That's the beauty of animation. You can choose whatever shot you want. If you can create it. This is just proof of how imaginative the animators and storyboard artists and directors were for this movie, because it looks, quote unquote, so cinematic.
Yes, 100%. And then you also get like these crazy shots that only animation can do. This will be the last shot I specifically call out, but it's I think it's during the Plague song. I'm not sure because it's the first time I see it, so I can't name the song.
Yeah.
But it's like it becomes a split screen of
Moses and Ramesses, and they're doing a little back and forth, and the colors.
And then it like squatches and stretches them just to their side profiles.
Yep.
In a way that would only work in animation. And it's so great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gorgeous movie.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, like, Michael, do you have what other things do you have anything else that really jumped out at you about it?
Just talking about like feeling empathy for these characters, because they decided like, oh, we're gonna make these kids like kids. Going back to the hieroglyphic scene, right afterwards, when Moses was like, Papa, you murdered the babies, and Pharaoh was like, oh, they were only slaves. And I was like, woof. Because even a line, going back to, remember, hey, you're watching a movie that is important to millions of people's fates. This happened. Because when we're watching an animated film, when we're watching a movie, we're like, oh, I'm more upset that the dog died than the people died, because we know that they didn't. But when we're doing historical fiction, a historical film, Schindler's List, for example, or like literally any, or like Saving Private Ryan, any of those movies where it's like at the very beginning, hey, this actually happened, just keep that in mind. And you're watching these actors or hearing these actors and seeing the animation, you're hearing them tell this truth in such a way that resonates with that message. And you're like, oh my God, wait, this actually happened. This person actually died. Like, someone held this person in their arms as they stopped being in this reality. And I think that line of they were only slaves, seeing how people used to and still do view other human beings as not people is one of many reasons why this film holds up to today, because it still is the case, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a movie that, one, everything you said is true, but it also just feels to me like, this isn't even like film scholarly kind of, but it also feels so remarkably ahead of its time in terms of what it's trying to do in animation.
Yeah.
Even though, as I said, it is trying to evolve from that Disney style.
Yeah.
And make its own thing. It makes me want to finally check out, like, even though I know Road to El Dorado is more, like, funny, but it makes me want to check that out, and Spirit. I know Spirit is attempting to be serious, is the thing. Sinbad and Road to El Dorado are trying to be funny, and I always think about people who be like, why didn't the Lion King people ever make a follow-up that was more serious? And then everyone's like, well, actually, The Hunchback of Notre Dame was that. You just don't realize that. But I'm like, well, I want to know what the Prince of Egypt people follow-up would have been, even though obviously we know Brenda Chapman didn't make another movie till Brave, but I don't know about these other two, when they ever did anything. Actually, I think...
Notre Dame too?
Oh, no, I was going to actually say, one of these directors, do you want to know what his only ever film he directed is?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, wait, okay.
Did you see what it is?
Yeah, I saw it.
What?
So do you remember earlier what you said the post-credit scene of this movie should be?
Oh, where it's
Jerry
live
Seinfeld?
action, cut for cut Jerry Seinfeld? Yeah.
So what if instead it was Jerry Seinfeld as a bee doing it?
Absolutely, I agree. I think that the Bee Movie is a direct sequel to...
It's the same director as this. One of the other directors, not Brenda Chapman, did that afterwards.
So
and you know
left.
what? They were really going for those themes of, like, making honey for the white man. What a line from a film, by the way.
We're looking at the director's follow-ups here.
This director lineup is kind of like the Beatles. Like, they really had a great collaboration.
Okay, well, to be fair, this other guy that we're about to mention, before this, he made Balto, An American Tail, Fievel Goes West. So he made other good cartoons.
I'm sorry, An American Tail, Who Goes West?
I've never seen these movies.
You've never seen An American... You don't know about Fievel and his terrible, rendition of Somewhere Out There Beneath the Pale Moonlight?
The one here I didn't read is the only one I think I've seen, which is We're Back, A Dinosaur Story. And that's only because
that's a fantastic film.
Well, I only remember it because I think there was a song from it that I would always repeat as a child going, "It's party time, it's party time." And I don't know if it's from We're Back, It's a Dinosaur Story, but that's what my mind attributes it to.
I can promise you that it's not.
Well, I don't know what it's from. And I'm pretty sure I remember the dinosaur. I remember the dinosaurs, like, walking down the street, you know, and singing.
Yeah,
and,
because John Goodman plays a T-Rex.
I mean, I honestly would not remember, let's be real, I would not remember any, like, childhood John Goodman role, because Sully and Pacha kind of exist. No, Sully and Pacha are where, like, he begins to me.
Do you know where John Goodman is from?
Probably St. Louis.
St. Louis, Missouri.
I mean, I like John Goodman. He's an international treasure. Anyway, do we want to see what this director followed up Prince of Egypt with?
Oh, the other one? Yeah, go for it.
Well, he made a live-action movie that is not relevant, because I don't think you'd know it. But his last film he made was in 2011. He's still alive. He just has not been able to get a budget. Actually, yeah, he went... This is actually so sad. After his 2011 movie, he goes back to work just as a story artist. He is no longer allowed to direct films. And that's because
he's no longer allowed, or he doesn't want to?
We're painting a pretty picture here with a few details. But...
the movie is called Mars Needs Moms. I don't know.
Oh my God, no! I
lost $144 million. Wow. It made $39 million worldwide on a $150 million budget. It's so sad. It really does just like. Let's end on Prince of Egypt, because we do this sometimes. What would be great Prince of Egypt? And it doesn't have to be like out of stars. It could be like, I give it this many pyramids type of thing. Like, wait, what would we give that
4.
one time? Just giving him 4.
Yeah.
Just 4. Okay.
I will say this. It's one of the few movies that we've enjoyed watching, and now I think talking about it more has made me excited to, like, see it again. I think normally it's like if you go in and you really enjoy a movie, then the podcast kind of, you know, gives you conflicting things and makes you hate it more. And then if you dislike a movie, I go into the podcast and I usually come out liking it. This is a movie I watched, liked it. Now I like it more.
Yeah. This is the first time I've watched it. So obviously I can't say I like it more. But I do feel like it feels like to me on first watch a solid 4 out of 5 movie. With potential to go up, because I don't like going high on my first watch.
I'd go.
You know?
I'd go higher than a 4 out of 5.
Well, you just said a 4, so what was it supposed
Not
to be?
out of 5, Michael.
I'm going to derail the precedent that you have both set, and I would say that it is an A movie. And I'll
That's
say
fine.
it's an A.
Cool.
I'll say it's an A movie because most people that you ask, like, oh, would you watch The Prince of Egypt again? They'll say yes. And to me, if it is below an A movie, you don't rewatch that. Because if it's a B, you're like, that was a good movie. I have seen that movie. I do not need to watch it again. If it's a C, you're like, I guess that was okay. D and F, trash. But like, for example, no, A movie, would watch that again. So Prince of Egypt, from me, solid A.
All right.
There you have it.
All
Michael,
right.
you got anything you got to plug?
Follow me on Instagram at Micksig, MICKSIG. If you are in the New York City area and would like to learn how to juggle, I will do that in exchange for dollars.
He taught me, and I currently use it to get jobs.
You're
So,
welcome.
He has not taught me, but I am so uncoordinated that it would not be a good use of time.
It's time to...
All right. Should I say what we're doing next time? Should I say what we're doing next time so we can end?
Yes.
All right. So next time we go on another
Detour!
Detour.
What is it? What's the movie?
Well, it's actually funny. We kept talking about like CGI combined with traditional animation because our next movie is The Iron Giant. Because of course, The Iron Giant is directed by Brad Bird, who goes on to do Incredibles and Ratatouille for Pixar. So next week is The Iron Giant, and our guest is Tanner Guerin. Tanner. So,
all right, bye. Looking for the Ocean, a Pixar podcast, is produced by Mark Young and Danny Vincent. Our original logo was designed by Sarah Knopf.
and you can find us at Facebook at Looking for the Ocean, a Pixar Journey. You can find us on Twitter at Pixar Journey and on Instagram at Looking for the Ocean Pod. You can also email us at lookingfortheoceanpixar@gmail.com.
If you want to know what I'm up to, everything is available on my website, markyoungperformer.com.
You can listen to my other 2 podcasts, Wise with Ty and Dan and The Snub Club, wherever you can find your podcasts. You can also find me on Letterboxd at Blankmints for all my takes on all of the movies. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.